Welcome, sports bettors, to BetRepublic.com's Invitational Handicapping Contest. I'm your host, Sonny Palermo. Each week, we have different handicappers, sports writers, sports personalities going head-to-head. Winner advances, loser goes home. Invitational Handicapping Contest. 50% of the prize money goes to the winner, 50% to the charity of his choice. I'm going to read you the picks from this week's contestants, but remember, BetRepublic.com has the picks from each contestant at the website with the complete write-up, and you can see who won last week and who's going to be in next week's matchups. Now, this week, we have Tim Trushel, Sports Memo Radio, locally heard in Las Vegas, nationally on Sirius, and of course, you can find Sports Memo on the web. Tim's an old friend of mine. I did a boxing show years ago. He was a big fight in Vegas, and Tim called me in, introduced himself, and asked me to come on the show and talk about the matchup. I was writing for Ring Sports at the time. Became friends, done a lot of stuff with Tim in the meantime, and Tim's up against Dave Bartman from StatFox.com. Dave Bartman, StatFox.com, probably the most popular database for sports on the web. All sports bettors, we all use StatFox.com. So, Tim's up first tonight. 6 picks, best bet at the end. First up, Tim likes SMU plus 6.5 versus Carolina. He says SMU's on the right track. They're not yet able to compete every week against all comers, but the program is on the rise. Last week they trailed just 12-7 at the half against a very strong TCU team. The East Carolina has averages 21 points and less than 300 yards of total offense per game. They've been outgained by an average of 69 yards per game. They're not especially strong defensively, and SMU should be able to move the football. Tim likes SMU and his dog, plus the 6.5 points. Staying in college, Tim likes the Redhawks, Miami, Ohio, plus 20.5 versus Northwestern. The Redhawks are currently 0-5 on the season, but the team has shown improvement on offense with redshirt freshman Zach Dysert taking over at quarterback. In his first start against Kent State, he threw for 337 yards and ran for another 107. Northwestern has played a fairly weak schedule and has shown no ability at all to beat the opposition by any kind of margin, and are laying more than 20 here. Tim likes Miami, Ohio, plus the 20.5. Next up, Fighting Illini. Tim likes Illinois plus 4 against Michigan State. Illinois is last in the conference in scoring, total offense, and total defense. Can't get much worse than that. However, they have faced Missouri, Penn State, and Ohio State en route to those numbers, so a hell of a schedule there. With a quarterback change in store this week and Michigan State likely to be flat off their win against Michigan, we'll back the home dog. Take Illinois. Next game, Indiana plus 7 versus UVA. We've been skeptical on the Hoosiers, but are slowly coming around to them. Ben Chappell has done a fine job under center, already throwing for over 1,000 yards while completing over 60% of his passes. UVA shouldn't be laying points in this range. 2 evenly matched teams will play a close one, making Indiana the selection. Well, UVA is not a charm school, Dr. Tim. Just kidding. It's a Hannibal, what is it? Silence of the Lambs line. UVA is not a charm school. Next up, Tim's going into the pros, taking the Bengals, plus 8.5 against the Ravens. The Ravens' wins have come against Kansas City, Cleveland, and San Diego. That's kind of ugly. Those 3 teams all rank on the bottom 9 in scoring defense and have allowed nearly 28 points per game. Baltimore is good, but overrated. This week they face a division rival, Cincinnati, whose defense has allowed just 19 points per game, a scoring average that is actually better than Baltimore's. Take Cincinnati plus the 8.5. I got to agree with Tim on that one. Cincinnati tends to play down to the level of competition or up to it. I like Cincinnati 8 points there. Baltimore's D is not the D you're used to with that team. Maybe because they lost Rex to the Jets. Tim's best bet, Florida State, back into colleges. Florida State minus 2.5. Seminoles have fallen flat since their big win at BYU, dropping contests to South Florida and on the road to Boston College. In the ACC, many teams are capable of beating one another on any given day. Look at the revenge angle, and the fact that FSU enters off consecutive losses has us projecting a peak performance for the Seminoles. Tim likes Florida State in this one. One comment on Florida State, big news this week, in the news a lot, and then they tried to shoot the story down. First came out that they were looking to replace Bowden, force him to resign. Later on, it came out to We're just kidding. Maybe next year. Distractions take away from the focus at hand. And one thing, always remember, I talked about this in the show last week. Athletic directors have a big impact on head coaches that head coaches are aware of when they're on the field, especially when it comes to meeting the point spread. You see it in colleges, not so much the pros. But got a little off-field distraction there going on in Florida State. But Tim's best bet, Florida State minus 2.5, Georgia Tech. Now, Dave Bartman from StatBox says Iowa versus Michigan. The bubble burst for Michigan last week, and it gets even tougher from here as the Wolverines face what should be the toughest test of the entire season at Iowa. The Hawkeyes are off a near upset loss to Arkansas State, explainable by the fact that the game was sandwiched between Penn State win and the contest versus the Wolverines. Although, personally, I'm not sure you can explain away the fact that you almost lost to Arkansas State. Anyway, Dave says Michigan will have trouble scoring points to this one as the host gets it done here to remain unbeaten. Take Iowa. Kent State plus 3.5 at Bowling Green is Dave's second pick. Since its impressive opening win over Troy, Bowling Green's season has spiraled downward. Falcons can't run, 2.5 yards per rush. Can't stop the run either, 5.5 yards per rush. Furthermore, the 6.2 yards per play they allow is 105th in the country right now. A team on a 4-game losing streak with a horrible defense. Does that sound like someone you want to lay points with? Going the other way with a Kent State team that seems headed in the right direction off back-to-back strong efforts, take Kent State plus a 3.5 versus Bowling Green. For his third play, Dave Bartman likes Whiskey over Ohio State. Wisconsin started the year slow, but has really stepped up to it the last 3 weeks, advanced to 5-0, and so far has flown under the national radar. That'll no longer be the case so they can upset the Buckeyes. This is a team finding itself finally running the ball with running back John Clay and mixing in an efficient downfield passing game. That's the difference here, as Ohio State lacks offensive balance, and that certainly doesn't warrant the Buckeyes being favored by this big of a point spread. Wisconsin has also played very well in Columbus, going 3-1 straight up and against the spread there in their last 4 trips. Only 2 remaining Big Ten teams are undefeated at this point. One of them's a huge dog here. That's not right. Dave likes Wisconsin and makes a pretty good case for it right there. His fourth pick, Idaho plus 3.5 at San Jose State. Because of its lack of recent football success, Idaho is not being taken seriously for its 4-1 start. However, the Vandals already boast wins over probable bowl teams, Northern Illinois and Colorado State. In fact, we don't believe it's going out on a limb to say that Idaho is headed for a bowl game itself in 2009. They're averaging 6.2 yards per play on offense right now, ranking in the top 25% of all teams nationally. Strange stats when you hear it combined with the word Idaho. San Jose State, meanwhile, allows 6.9 yards per play, better than just 4 other teams in the country. How are the Spartans going to stop Idaho? How are they the favorite? Grab the points. Idaho plus 3.5. For his fifth play, the Houston Texans. Dave's heading into the pros here. Houston Texans plus 5.5 versus Arizona. Every casual football fan knows the recent history of the Super Bowl runner-up failing to live up to billing in the following season. Well, apparently odds makers don't, because they're still treating the Cardinals as an elite club. This is not the same team that nearly won it all last February. They aren't riding positive momentum, and quarterback Warner has lost all confidence after this slow start. Meanwhile, Houston is starting to get it going offensively as expected and figures to never be out of this game because of it. Underdogs have to be capable of scoring enough points to either cover or win outright, and the Texans certainly can. Take Houston plus 5.5. For his final play and his best bet, Dave Bartman from StatFox.com, Connecticut plus 7.5. Despite predictions of a fall-off, Connecticut has picked up right where it left off last year, playing tough-nosed competitive football in its 3-1 start. The Huskies are allowing only 4.0 yards per play on defense, a full yard better than Pittsburgh. This game has a look of one that will come down to the final minutes. Hence, the 7.5 points is just too many. Field goals decides it. And what Dave Bartman didn't write in here is it's a big game, and Wannstedt's coaching Pittsburgh. And you know which way you got to go in that kind of a matchup. That's our picks for today. Every one of these at the website complete write-ups, as well as next week's contestants, betrepublic.com. We'll see you there.